everybody, and welcome back to the Headfirst Project. My name is Nate Hoffman. I am your host once again. First of all, I would just like to say thank you. You guys are absolutely incredible. I did not expect anywhere near a response like this straight out of the gate. I put the first intro episode up, and, it's real weird getting used to this sort of thing, getting comfortable with this. I just threw it up on Instagram and YouTube and SoundCloud and put the first episode out there. And in under 24 hours, the Instagram has almost 40 followers. The YouTube channel got 4 subscribers, 80 views on the video. The SoundCloud got a couple of likes and some views. The YouTube video got likes. You guys are amazing. I mean, this is just one episode. I can't tell you how many people texted me today, messaged me on Snapchat, Instagram, everything. I cannot thank you guys enough for helping me start this out the way that it is starting already. I cannot wait to keep this going and see what sort of interaction that we get with everyone. But enough of me telling you how great you all are. Today we are going to get right into it. It is Monday, November 9th, 2020. It is Monday Massacre. We are kicking it off with the first Monday episode. The question is, why are you doing what you're doing? We are going to look into the choices you're making in your life, what you're doing, why you're doing it, and how to get to where you want to be. First off, I just want you to think about yourself right now. What you're doing, the choices you've made, the job you have, what you're going to school for, what you do in your free time, the friends you keep around. Just take a second, look at yourself, think about the things that are going on, what has brought you to this point that you're at in your life. Good things are going to happen and bring positive changes in your life. You're going to get jobs, you're going to get relationships, you're going to go to school, all this sort of stuff. Bad things are going to do the same thing. They're going to change things for the worse. Sometimes you're going to have to adapt to stuff. So one thing that I have been thinking about a lot is good things, some of them happen and they really stick with you. You might get a job that turns into a career. You might get a relationship that turns into a marriage. That's going to stick with you for a long time. And that's a good thing that's going to be constant with you. But some of them, it might be a good thing, whether it's just a passing comment from someone that puts you in a good mood, or your luck turns out well for that one day. Just, it could be the stupidest thing that just works out conveniently for you, that just makes your life easier for that day, and that's a good thing. But the next day, that thing's over, and you just continue on about your business like it never happened. Now, the same thing can happen with bad stuff. Obviously, if shit goes really wrong, you might have to really adapt. You might have to change a lot of stuff in your life, and that's going to have sort of a longer consequence to what you need to do with yourself. But if there's good things that can happen and wear off quickly, why is it with bad stuff that we get hung up so bad that it is for the long term? Even if it's not some ridiculously significant event that's going to impact us for, months, years, weeks, whatever. Or, it's horribly financially paralyzing, or cost you a relationship, a friendship, a job, some sort of massive ordeal. People think it's the end of the world. But it's the same thing that happens whenever it's a minor good thing like that. If it's a minor bad thing, lose track of something for the day and you just forget to do it. You're going to get chewed out by your boss or your significant other, something like that. You screwed up. And, obviously it's not good to do that sort of thing all the time, but people get hung up on this and they just stew on it for weeks and weeks and weeks, and they can't get it out of their mind. But if it's one of those good things, you're going to get up the next day and pretend that it never happened. Why can't people do that with the bad things too? No matter how minor they are, they keep it in the back of their head and it bothers them. Some people, something bad will happen and then it's like months later, and it could be the most incredibly insignificant thing, and they're still thinking about it. They're still thinking, oh, I remember at the beginning of the summer when I did this, and what these people thought of me whenever I did that. Who cares? It's been how many months now? They forgot it. If it doesn't matter to them and it doesn't have this ridiculously significant impact at this point in time, write it off. Just forget it. You're keeping that running tally of little bad shit in your head that's just going to prevent you from doing stuff in the future, because you're going to look back on those little bad things that happened with this person at that place. I can't interact with this person anymore because we had a confrontation once. Just forget it. Don't keep this stuff all piled up, because that's just going to prevent you from doing stuff in the future. Beyond that, if you are trying to get away from that, what are you waiting for? Are you waiting for something good to happen, for an advancement? What is preventing you from getting to the next step? If you're in school and you're working on getting experience for a job or training for a job or working the low-end job to get that next advancement. That's fine. That's just how that goes. You have to have that prep time before you get into the big stuff. If you're in that sort of stage, doing the work to make something good happen, that's good. Keep it up. Maybe at the point you're at, you have some financial issues. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. If you need more time to work, put stuff away, get yourself established before you start making these drastic leaps, that's all right. There's nothing wrong with that. As long as you are trying to make the headway and doing what you need to do to get in the direction that you are going, you are still accelerating and creating momentum. But if you are just sitting there and waiting for something to come hit you in the face, it's not going to happen, and you are going to die waiting for it. So what can you do to fix this? You need to look at everything and see there is always an extra step. There's always one more thing you can do to get walking in the direction that you want to go. With all the resources that are out there now, all the education between books and podcasts, websites, blogs, articles, seminars, ebooks, you name it, there is so much material out there to learn and develop yourself and become the best at what you want to do. There is absolutely no reason to not be doing that stuff if you want to further yourself. And with all the publicity, the social media, and the engagement and attention that people can get to get themselves more recognized out there, unless you're doing this sort of stuff, you are not going to be at the top. And if you are not at that top 1% that has all that education, all that background, and that publicity, the places that you want to go, the companies, the whatever you want to do, are not going to track you down. They're going to track down that 1% that is publicized, that is highly educated, highly experienced. So if you're looking at these people that are at the top of the chain, they are the people that you go to when you want this one thing done. You need the guy or the girl that is going to do this job correctly and perfectly every single time. You go to them, and those are the people that get hunted down for this. So unless you do the work to get yourself to that point, it's not going to happen. I'm not saying that you're not good at what you do or you're not experienced at what you do and you're not capable of what you're doing. I'm not even saying I know what I'm doing. I try to do all this extra stuff and learn and continually develop and make myself better. And half the time, I don't even feel like I know what's going on. Even with 4 years of school and the research study and reading and watching videos and all this sort of stuff, I am just lost in the sauce on a daily basis when it comes to some shit. It just, the more you learn that is out there and the more you realize is going on, you realize you understand less than you thought you did before. But unless you do the work to get to that point, you are not going to be hunted down, and the opportunity is not going to come crush you in the face. So you need to create that opportunity and take the initiative to do it. But beyond that, before you start going apeshit and moving around every piece in your life trying to get to a different position, you need to just look at what's going on and say, is change what you want? Because if you don't, then you don't want it. There's no point doing all this moving around, trying to step further, take these risks and everything. If you can look at what you're doing and be 100% satisfied with what you're doing and why you're doing it, and look at your life in love with everything you've got going on, that's what everyone wants. I mean, if you're to the point that you can look back and are just like, fuck yeah, this is mine, this is everything I've got, this is everything I'm doing, and I love it. Keep doing that. Everyone makes these points that are saying, be more, you need to get that promotion, you need to go to school, you need to earn as much as possible, you need to get this job, you need to get these material garbage things. No, you don't. If you are just loving it, that's great. Not everyone needs everything in the world. Keep what you've got and love it. You made it at that point. There's no point just stressing yourself out and taking all this time and work, strain, pushing it into places that you don't want to go. It's like whenever you're trying to walk a dog, if that dog is trying to go one direction and not the direction you are going, you gotta drag that dog because he's got his attention on one thing and dragging him down the sidewalk, and it's terrible because he doesn't want to go that way and you're just dragging him along. So that's what happens whenever you try to go a direction that your heart is not set on, because you're happy with what you've got. You're going to be dragging yourself to what you think is going to be a better situation, and everyone tells you is going to be a better situation, but it feels like you're just getting dragged along because you don't want to go in that way. And that's fine. If you love what you've got, keep doing it. But if you're not, you need to look at why you're not content and why you aren't changing it. But if you do want to change it, go get it. Take the time, take the risk to do the work. It is worth it. But that's the thing about change, is it's uncomfortable. It's risky. It's not always a sure thing. With this job that I'm taking, working for the state, I'm going to have to move. I'm going to work into a prison. I've never worked in a prison before. I have no idea what to expect. I'm sure it's going to be stressful. I'm on a different shift than I want to be on. It's a lot of uncomfortable things, a lot of unanswered questions, and just a lot of question marks that I don't have anything to answer for right now. But in the end, looking at what that's going to get me, the experience it's going to get me, the financial gain that's going to get me, the development that's going to get me taking a higher level job than I have had before, it's going to be worth the risk. And that's the thing about change, is it's very rewarding. If you decide to do this, you are only going to grow outside of your comfort zone. So if you stay in that comfort zone forever, you're just going to stay at the level you are already at forever. If you push yourself outside of that comfort zone, you're going to grow. As long as you don't jump off the deep end to the point that you are in over your head and start to panic, because at that point, you are not going to grow at all. You're not going to develop at all. You are just going to be flailing, waiting for help. If you just push yourself to that growth zone outside of your comfort zone, you're going to learn more, experience more, and become better. And experience is what life is all about. There's so much to experience and so much to do. If you're not doing it, then what are you living for? You gotta get out there and see more. There's more than what you already have right in front of you, and that's a good thing to discover. Even if you don't like it, get out there, at least see what's there, and if you don't like it, say fuck that and stay home. At least you saw it and gave it a chance. But if you like it and you expand upon what you've already got, that's just more stuff that you can have in your life that you enjoy. And that's what I'm doing with this job and school at the same time. I'm really taking a risk and branching out and trying to get more. I might end up loving it. I might end up getting a career out of it and getting, the knowledge I need to get to the job I want to, the connections to get there. But at the same time, it could be a train wreck. It could be an absolute disaster. I'm taking on so much at once, I might end up pushing myself to the point that it's just not going to work and it's going to blow up in my face. But that's a risk that I need to come to terms with, weigh that against the benefits that I can get out of it, the good that can come from that, and go for it. Having said all that, I'm not saying that you need to do all that at once. I'm not saying that because I'm doing this all at once that I'm the best and I'm better, because I'm not. I'm not trying to put that way. I don't view myself as better than anyone else. It's just kind of the way that everything worked out. Whenever I got back from deployment, I started working and just doing whatever job came to me. First, it was just some labor job. I was landscaping, and then I moved into a construction job that I'm still working at this time before I start my job at the prison. And during that time, when I was working these other jobs, I started applying for all kinds of stuff. I applied for, I bet you, 50 jobs throughout the country. I applied for everything because I was just sick of working these garbage jobs. I mean, they're not garbage jobs. They're jobs. They pay. I'm being productive and I'm doing something with my time. I'm just getting sick of doing jobs that aren't in my field. I went to school for 4 years. I want to do something with that knowledge, something that I care about. So I was applying for all these jobs and none of them were getting back to me. I was making no headway whatsoever. So I eventually decided that to get that next level of credentials and take that next step with my degree, that it was time for me to get my master's. That was going to work for me at the time. So what I did was I set everything up to get ready to go to school while I was applying for all this stuff because no one was getting back to me. So I thought that a job in the field just wasn't going to happen at the time, so I decided to go through with the process of getting ready to go to school. And of course, the way things work out, once I get everything set up with school, one of these good jobs gets back to me. And I'm not going to give up on one or give up on the other because that's just not what I wanted to do. And I decided in my mind right now that I'm going to be able to do it all. And who knows how it's going to go, but that's just how things worked out with me. I'm not trying to say that one way is the best, one way is right, one way is better, anyone's better than another person for doing it one way rather than their way, or what you might think is good and right and efficient for you. It's just how it works for you. You're not better, You're not worse than someone else. Anyone making any progress at all is the best. When it comes to the point for you to make these changes, should you decide that's what you want to do and what you need to do it sensibly. Think about what you're doing, make calculations, and plan for it. Make realistic, achievable choices that you can actually achieve over time and get to where you want to be. Don't go and do absurdly unreasonable, drastic shit. I'm not telling you to completely drop out of school, change everything you're doing, hop into a new career field, write off everyone that you know, and disappear, sell everything you have, move halfway across the world, and restart from factory default. That's not it. Yeah, there's people that do that, but that's not... No. Don't just snap for the sake of snapping. I think there's a lot better ways to handle things than going to that extreme. Yeah, there's people that do it, and I suppose, in a way, it worked for them, but for the general 99.9% of people, that's just going to be the worst nightmare ever. So make these nice little steps that you can measure, you can track, you can calculate to use as checkpoints to get to the point where you want to go. Start off small. Look into your interests in what you like, what you want to do. Maybe it's something that you've never done before. Just push yourself to try a new skill, try a new hobby, something like that. There are so many resources. I've said this so many times. You can learn anything about anything in the world. Between the internet and books and YouTube videos and all that sort of stuff, there's absolutely no reason you cannot pick a single task, hobby, sport you can think of and not learn it realistically because of the internet. Just try something that small and that simple to just push yourself for a little bit of development. You never know what you might be good at, or you could go for something bigger. If you are in a job and you want to go to the next level, go for it. Who cares if they're going to say no if you apply? Just apply. Even if you can get an interview, at least get your name on their radar. Try that. Do whatever you can to branch out. And I know I keep mentioning jobs, but that's just the easy, traditional blanket statement for advancement example that I can give you. It does not have to be work. It could be games, sports, hobbies, collections, whatever you are into, getting to that next level and exploring what there is beyond. I know a lot of people, like for example, I know a lot of people that are into car detailing. There are a lot of classes out there that you can go to for detailing. There are books and videos and everything like that. If you can look into that sort of thing to get better at it. Say you like collecting stamps. I don't know the first fucking thing about stamps other than they get my mail where I want it to go. But if you collect stamps, because there's people that do that, say you are a beginning collector and you have what would be considered, I guess, a normal collection and you want to get to that next level and maybe it's more expensive, maybe it's harder to get. Look into that. Look into progressing what you like to that next level to get that advancement in what you love. It doesn't have to be work. It doesn't have to be serious. If you like it, who gives a shit what other people think about it? Do what you want to do and get better at it. Get deeper with it and love every second of it. I know this has kind of gotten all over the place, but that is what brings me back to my original point and my original question. Why are you doing what you're doing? Obviously, there's a reason that you're doing the things you're doing. It is because you are interested in those things. You like those things. It is what you enjoy. It is what you're good at, and it's what you want to do. So if you are doing those things, put everything you've got into it. If you are doing things because of bad things that have happened before, fuck that. Write them off. Throw them out and start heading in a good direction. If something good happens and you brush it off the next day and just forget about it and pretend it never happened, and that doesn't propel yourself to where you want to go, why should something bad that happened that is of equal weight keep you from going in the direction you want to go? Look at the things you're doing, what you're doing, and use that to get you where you want to be. If you're doing something, you're doing it for a reason. Keep doing that. If you look at what you're doing and why you're doing it and you cannot come up with a reason for it, obviously it is not worth your time. Get rid of it and use your time and the why of what you're doing for things you care about, things that matter, things you enjoy or can better yourself. Don't be afraid to ask yourself why. Instead of just doing it because you always do it or you always have done it, look at it and say, why? Answer that question and you will get good direction for yourself. I want to thank you all once again so much for all the attention, the interaction, and everything on the first episode. That was just the introduction episode. I got more than I ever could have hoped for. Please keep it up. I cannot thank you guys enough. Like, subscribe, share this with people that you think can benefit from this, that you think are in the same mindset that want to hear this sort of content. Contact me directly. Give me your feedback, what you liked, what you didn't like, what you want to hear, anything else you can possibly think of. You can find my personal account on Instagram at TheOnlyHoff, the official Head First Project page on Instagram at Head First Project, or on YouTube and SoundCloud. The links will be posted as well. Thank you guys so much. Remember to look out for the next episode this week. It is a Saturday stew. We will be talking about the basic principles of skeletal muscle. And remember, always attack life head first.